Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world. Sean Driver, the Red Horde, and welcome. We're back. It has been a while since we've been able to put one of these together, largely because of a move and a relocation from one home to another. The renovations are still ongoing. There are boxes everywhere. We're getting through things. It's getting cleaner. It's getting tidier. But in any event, if it's the first time you've been here, welcome. Sean. We do three types of videos here. One, we do the watch-alongs and watch parties. We will be there on Saturday to watch along with this one. You can find us on Twitch and Twitter, but prefer on YouTube. Come and join us. Get involved in the chat. Follow along. It's a good time. Nice little community building, and very appreciative for it. The other things that we do, hors d'oeuvre videos, which is basically taking a look at the regulations, the rules, the finances, the things that influence and occur off the pitch that have an impact on things on the pitch. You can join for those. And of course, this Who Are You series, the genesis of this, well, started in the National League, moved on to League Two, now into League One, trying to figure out who are the teams that we're playing against, what's their history, who are they about, who do we look for, and those sorts of things. And so the big question that has to be asked of Exeter City, the Grecians. It has been a growing trend that I'm trying to do these, or was trying to do these in one take and get them off and settle them all out. So going to try and do that this time. There probably will be some errors. It is just because it's been a while. It's been a byproduct of just trying to get content out when the world is busy, and I do this while also holding down a full-time job and all those sorts of fun things. If you end up liking this, just a reminder, subscribe button is down below. Please hit that, hit the like button, follow us along, and yeah, we'll jump right into it. The fancy transition into this, the graphic that was put together early on in the season. I'm going to make one qualification as we go through this, but Exeter City, they're up. It's a home game for us, so that while it's a long travel for them in the snow, both teams having trouble with getting training in. Both sides had pitches and backup pitches that were covered up with snow, and trying to get creative as far as finding solutions. It could be a messy game, both conditions, both lack of training, the long trip for Exeter City heading up to Wrexham. But Exeter City, the Grecians, I'm not even going to go into the etymology and the history of the name. Grecians, it could be, is it St. Sidwell? It could be related to the town. It could be related to a jewelry store. Nobody really knows. I'm going to be guessing. So they're just the Grecians, and we'll go with it. Founded in 1901, 134,939 is the population in Exeter City, which makes it the 10th largest in League One. Last match with Wrexham all the way back March 4th, 2003. That was in League One. Last season for Exeter City, finished in 13th overall. They've been up in this cusp, which is pretty damn good when you consider their ownership. They're owned by the fans, the supporters' trust. And when you see that, Saskatchewan Roughriders, Green Bay Packers, obviously Wrexham was there, more popular in the UK, I would suggest, as a model, often to save and preserve. It's been 21 years, 2003, since they've been owned by the supporters' trust. Their turnover, as you would expect with a community-owned club, 5.8, not spending a lot. That's 19th overall in League One. Profit loss, only 1.1. Their social media, 567,395 across all of their platforms. That's TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and otherwise. St. James Park, been along for a long time. That's not the same St. James Park that's up north. This is the one that's down south. The distance, and this is where the qualification comes in, 232 miles, 373 kilometers. I had it pegged as the 22nd longest trip, and that's when I calculated the time. Google spits it out based on driving distance, not total distance. And driving time, when I checked, it was the 22nd, the second longest trip that the teams will be making for Exeter City coming up and for us going down. Crawley Town's the other one for consideration. It is shorter drive time, longer distance. So one of the long hauls anyways. Away allocation, 23rd overall, just 1,200 fans. So when we go down there, it could be a hot ticket for those that are wanting to make the trip down south. Capacity 8,830 at St. James. That's 19th largest, and their attendance 18th overall in League One. Pitch dimensions, again, going back to the other videos, the fascinating part about the divergence of the pitches in England is there is a large split between the dimensions, 114 by 70 yards, which makes them a little smaller than average, 7,980 being the pitch area, 16th overall. Season stats, look, this is going to be a fascinating game. Let's just look at the overall stats. Goals for, we score a lot more, or we had been. It's been a while since we've been on a run for Wrexham, but the goals against have been there. Defensively, we have been solid. We're second overall in the league. Only 11 goals allowed all year. The only team that's better than us, Exeter City. You watch their back line and their goalkeeper. They've got talent back there, and they've been performing well. It's a messy, dirty, ugly, winning type of club. They've got 7 wins on the season. They've pulled off 2 draws, 5 losses, despite only having 14 goals for. Impressive, maybe lucky, but you look at their style of play, coached by a former center back. I guess you kind of expect it. They are defense first. They are the old school New Jersey Devils in ice hockey. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFL historically. They are beat you up on defense and hope they can eke something out offensively. As far as goals for and away, 16 for us, goals for, that puts us second. 4th for goals against at home. That ties us for first. The Kairos is a fortress. That racecourse roar is a thing, and it continues to be. That's why it leads to a 6 wins, 1 draw, and no losses on the season. For Exeter City, what you would expect. Goals against away. They're the best club in League One. Only allowed 6 goals all year, but they're only eking out 7. They don't put the ball in the back of the net. And in a game like this, it's going to be interesting because Wrexham's offense has dried up. Marriott's been gone. Mullen hasn't been founded. We're looking for other options. We have a lot of players with injury. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a battle. And I think that falls into the hands of Exeter City more than it does for us. If you go on to the season statistics, shots on target, we have a lot more. Almost 1 more extra game, but that only puts us at 17th. They're the worst performing offensive team as far as shots on goal. Goals per shots on target, the efficiency rate, relatively good for both clubs. Passing, middle of the pack, nothing there. Save percentage, Okonkwo, Burton, and Whitworth, they've been leading the charge. Okonkwo first, Whitworth second overall as individuals and as clubs. Wrexham first, Exeter City second. They've got a keeper, 20-year-old. We'll go through that a little bit more. Possession, they do keep possession. We watched the game in a watch party last weekend against Lincoln City. And what did we learn from that game is they have a whole lot of ugly up front. Midfield up. And they've lost 1 player, Woods, out to suspension, the ginger player, who I think is actually unfortunate. If he plays like he did against Lincoln City, he did more harm to Exeter City than he did positive for Exeter City. So I'd almost prefer that he was in the lineup. He was that bad in that game. In any event, the possession, they do hold a lot of possession, and they're passing 80 passes, accurate passes more per game than us. So you're going to expect the counterattack to be in play for us, that traditional model. And I think it's maybe fortunate in the sense that they do give the ball away up front. The conditions aren't going to be good, so there's going to be opportunities for that if we can turn on it. The challenge is going to be beating that back line and beating the keeper. That's where the magic's going to have to be. You can have a look at it. The FOTMOB expected goals, just a nominal increase for us. But we're a little bit better as far as crosses and long balls going through. The referee, very experienced Stephen Martin. He made his EFL debut back in 2011. He's been largely in the EFL since then, 2011, 2012. We did have a game with him in the National League way back in 2012 when he was into that transition phase, moving up the lineup. He's only done 2 games in League One. Most of the games he does is in the Championship, so you can take these stats as you will. He does call a lot of fouls, 29 per game. That's 5 more than the league average. Maybe the flopping comes into play. Paul Mullen, I'd rather you stay on your feet more, work through it, but maybe this is an official who gives them away. But he doesn't give away the cards. The yellow cards, the red cards don't go away. He has given away a penalty in 1 of the 2 games. So that's Stephen Martin. Interestingly, the referee that was in the Lincoln City Exeter City match that we did the watch along, Mr. Thomas Parsons, the worst official I've seen doing a football game in a long time. He got manipulated by players everywhere. They were flopping as a consequence. It made the game really ugly with no flow. He's going to be the fourth referee in this one. So I just keep checking where he is, because I loathe the day where I end up having to watch a game where he's the official. Not a fan. The worst one I've seen so far, for whatever that's worth. So those are the season statistics there. Just going to bring you through the window capture. There's the drive. You got to go down and around past Newport and down south into Exeter. I'm close to a train station. There's the blast. So there's that for you to review. There is St. James, an old stadium with lots of history, similar to the Kairos, full to the brim. Look, Exeter City, a fascinating club. Not a lot of honors. Their honors largely based on their international play. One of the first club to go down to Brazil to play South American clubs. They played the Brazilian national team back over 100 years ago. They have been, they just went back to commemorate that and played some more teams. But they have lived in the third and fourth division. And this is rare. When you look at the up and down of the clubs, you usually get a better spread. I mean, you look at Wrexham's as high as the second tier and as low as the fifth, and close to the sixth at one point in time. For Exeter City, they've lived in the third and fourth divisions tiers with just a little blip back in 2001 and around that area when we were playing them there. Moving on, there's some details about the Supporters Trust, and if I recall correctly, they have two owners that have more than 10% shares, but really it is largely community based. And good on it. I love this model. I especially love it in lower league football in England. It's tougher to survive, but it does work as a model. You look at the success of the Green Bay Packers historically. Not so much the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but they've got a great following in the Canadian Football League. But when you give out ownership, it drives that support. And good on Exeter City for making sure that they have the club. Good on them for having it for over 20 years. They've definitely got something running there. The manager is Gary Caldwell, and I didn't prepare a graphic for him, his image, but a center back largely based out of, played his games in Wigan. He started there as a coach. His winning percentage, never above 500 as a career with any one club. Now, that's not one season with one club. That's overall as a total career. He's been with the club for a while, and he builds defensive first. So center back where he played, Wigan, Scottish, I believe, by background, and a fascinating transition. And I guess an expected one. You have a guy who's a center back, he brings that center back mentality. So let's jump into having a look then at the players as we do the fancy transition, and we'll have a look then at the lineup and just a sample of who they are. It's an interesting lineup. When you look at Exeter City, they brought in 5 players on season-long loans. They have some signings of some older, more experienced players. They do really 3 things. They bring in young loan players. They have a breadth of international players. I'm sort of envious of it. I do think that the opportunity to go and get 2 players internationally who don't qualify for visas in the UK, but to go and obtain them and grant them a license through the exemptions that are available to them under the sports person's visa process, now that it's been adjusted and amended. Go out and take a couple of runners on some players. They've done that. They've gone out and got some international players. Kenya, Gambia, France, Portugal, Northern Ireland, and young or old and nothing in between. You've got lots of loan players and kids getting started, and a couple of experienced ones to build them all out. So I have pulled out a couple of highlights. Joseph Whitworth, as we've talked about, keeper, 20 years of age. He's at Crystal Palace originally. He still is. He's on loan. You look at his stats, 82.5 save percentage. We watched him in the Lincoln City game. He made a couple of great saves. He held his club into it. He's a shot stopper, and he's aggressive and assertive. He got to give it to him. He's got it. He's a solid keeper, and when you go over 14 matches and you've started every game and you've run through them, he's going to be tough to beat. You're going to have to be on the top of your game. You're going to have to get lots of chances. And I'm hoping that the efficiency of Wrexham, 40%, 38% shots on target turn into goals, one of those is going to eke in. I don't anticipate this to be a massive high-scoring game. So Whitworth, he started out and continues to be at Crystal Palace. He's obviously out on loan. He has had English U18, U17, U16 caps. He didn't get called up for the U20s. It just happened in the last window. Another player for Exeter City did. But by all accounts, an exceptional young keeper, and he's been doing the business for them. Trista Krama is a fascinating one for me in the sense that he's born in France. He started with the French Academy there in his hometown, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Béziers. In any event, he started out there, had a couple of seasons in, moved up the ranks, and then transferred off to Brentford and is now on loan here in Exeter City. 23 years of age, looking to probably transition out his career. He has been a rock in the middle, and we watched him. He was by far the best player on Exeter City in that Lincoln City game. He holds it down aerially. He's strong. He's surprisingly quick despite his size. And he's got 2 of the goals, which Exeter City's starving for goals. And he's got 2 of them. One of only 3 multi-goal scorers for Exeter City. And it comes from one of their defenders. So very capable. I would put him in, just one game I've seen him, but he was clearly MVP of that one. Man of the match, call it what you will. He does have support in the back line. Pierce Sweeney, this is one of the KG veterans, right? They've got the very young guys. They've got the KG veterans. He looks like a KG veteran. He actually moves like a KG veteran. I think he's got to be dealing with a niggling injury to the back or something. Like he's in pain all the time. If I recall correctly, he actually hurt himself trying to get a foul and threw himself to the ground, and it looked like he hurt his hip in the last one. But he's been eating up minutes, 99% of them. He's just your old bulldog on the playing on the right back position, and he just is out there working hard and getting it done from Dublin, Ireland. So he's been there for a while. And then Ben Purington, I was surprised the Ross County Scottish history, but obviously from Exeter originally. He's only got 24.5% of the minutes, but he was in the lineup for the Lincoln City match, and so I feature him for 2 reasons. One, he's on the left side, which means Barney is going to largely be with him, and also they do a 3-4-2-1, so he'll also have support there from the left side on the left side, but largely will be the last man to deal with Barney. And I didn't think that he had a good game. The FOTMob stats didn't agree with me. I thought of the center back or of the back line, he was the weaker of the 3. But he didn't perform poorly. I just don't know if he's got the foot speed to deal with Barney. And so I would expect all balls down the right-hand side for Wrexham on a go-forward basis. The fascinating part for me, there's 2 questions, is who's scoring up front? Woods is out. Who's going to fill in for him? And I think it's going to be Kamari Doyle. Didn't play in the last game because he got his first U20 cap for England in a 4-0 win over Germany. He's played 12 matches. He started 7. Things are starting to ramp up for him. He leads the team in scoring. And I think he's probably going to be asked to fill in that role in the middle of the field in the absence of Woods, which is unfortunate. As I said earlier, Woods looked deplorable in the last game, and anything would probably be better. 10 men arguably would have been better than having Woods in the lineup for Exeter City in that last game. But he's coming back, and I haven't seen him obviously, but 19 years of age, from Brighton. He was at Southampton and then transferred down, or for a fee, moved down to Brighton and has been building there and is in Exeter City on loan. So he's probably the option in the middle of the field. The question is who's up front, and it's a mess. They had a number of players taking a stab at it in the last one. Ali, Watts, Atchison. They had Jay Bird came in. Nobody looked good. Like they just missed passes after pass after pass up front. Lincoln City had opportunities. Exeter City didn't really, and when they did, skied it every single time. But Josh McGuinness, as I understand, didn't play in the last one. And I don't know the reason for that, but 74.4% of the minutes so far. He's an older guy, 34, another Northern Irish player, played in Wigan. Came in with a lot of stock as being a goalkeeper, but just hasn't really filled it. So they'll probably, I suspect, be turning to him. Other than that, I mean, you're rolling the dice up front if you're Exeter City, and I'm be curious in the comments below. Tell me whether I have that analysis wrong. And if you've made it this far, why don't you just hit the subscribe button while you're at it and get that out there? Go ahead and do that, and hit the like button and jump into the transition. And there's the kit for Exeter City, the red and white standard. Can't call it a pinstripe, the horizontal stripe or the vertical stripes. They've got and I like HEL. It reminds me of a music store in my hometown. I actually didn't look up who the sponsor was, but HEL triggers memories for me. Growing up, the blue and the gray, different. Most recently, it has been a yellow kit for Exeter City. The blue and gray, or the blue and white, I think you're going back to 2007, 2008 for Exeter City, if I recall correctly, and they've got the third kit with the black and the yellow. I prefer clubs to have some sort of resemblance to the actual colors that are in the crest, but they've had it in the past, and it's a fan-supported club, so when it comes to all of the branding, choose what you guys want to wear, because it's your club, and you're paying through ownership to keep the thing afloat. So I guess permission, as much as permission's needed from me. One thing I do, I always compare the clubs to a UK food. We've been doing that through the entirety of League One for the videos that I've been doing, and given the youth of this club and how new they are and how fresh they are, how did I not go with a Mark and Spencer's caterpillar cake? If you haven't seen these caterpillar cakes, it is the one confusing food that it doesn't make any sense. Sure, it's delicious, but it's not worth the value. But these things, what is it, like 15 million of the damn things have been sold? They're uber popular, and with the kids, and given Exeter City's age, I just figured it kind of works. Look, while we transition in here and I wind this one down, the weather is snowy. Christmas is coming early, I guess. It's not anticipated to be great conditions. We can also suggest that neither club, even in the best of conditions, is scoring a lot of goals these days. Both clubs are set up strong defensively. Both clubs have exceptional keepers. Even with Ogonko, Burton has shown his capacity. So this screams of first team to score wins. That's my take on it. So I'll go with a 1-0 win for us, just because of that racecourse magic. If it was in St. James Park in Exeter City, I'd probably flip the score the other way. I don't find a lot of goals in this one, and we'll see how that goes. Let me know how you see it in the comments below. And more importantly, subscribe, like, and join us for the watch party, the watch along. 57 countries. We have a good time. The link is well, it'll be here on the screen somewhere. And that's going to be it. I'll sign off for this one. I'm going to produce it and get it out there. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you Saturday. Have a good one.